You know what's fascinating? 9 out of 10 scalpers blow up their accounts within the first 3 months. Not because they lack intelligence, not because they don't understand charts, but because their brain is literally wired to make the exact opposite decisions required for scalping success. And today, I'm going to show you the psychological landmines that are destroying your scalping career without you even realizing it. Picture this scenario. You enter a trade. The price moves 5 ticks in your favor. Your heart rate increases. Dopamine floods your brain. You feel like a genius. Then the price pulls back 2 ticks, and suddenly your palms are sweating. Your finger hovers over the exit button. This isn't just nervousness. This is your ancient survival mechanism hijacking your trading decisions. Your amygdala, the primitive part of your brain that kept your ancestors alive on the savannah, treats a 2-tick pullback exactly like a predator lurking in the bushes. It screams danger. It demands immediate action. And that's exactly why you exit winners too early and hold losers too long. The average scalper makes their decision to exit a winning trade in less than 8 seconds. Think about that. 8 seconds. You spent hours analyzing charts, waited patiently for your setup, executed perfectly, and then you throw it all away in the time it takes to tie your shoe. Why does this happen? Because your brain releases a chemical cocktail when you see profit. Dopamine creates pleasure, serotonin creates satisfaction, and your prefrontal cortex, the logical part of your brain, gets completely overwhelmed by these neurochemicals screaming, "Take the money and run." This isn't a character flaw. This is evolution. For thousands of years, immediate gratification kept humans alive. The caveman who grabbed the berries in front of him survived. The one who waited for bigger berries often starved. But here's where it gets really interesting. That same brain that forces you to grab tiny profits will allow you to hold massive losses for hours or even days. You know this pattern. A trade goes against you by 10 ticks. Instead of cutting it, you freeze. You tell yourself it's just a temporary pullback. You convince yourself the market will turn around. Meanwhile, that 10-tick loss becomes 20, then 30, then 50. Your account bleeds out while you sit paralyzed. This is called loss aversion, and Nobel Prize winning research shows that the psychological pain of losing money is approximately 2.5 times stronger than the pleasure of making the same amount. Your brain will do absolutely anything to avoid accepting that loss, including destroying your entire account. The cruel irony is that successful scalping requires you to do the exact opposite of what feels natural. You need to let winners run while they feel uncomfortable. You need to cut losers quickly while every fiber of your being wants to give them more time. You're literally fighting millions of years of evolutionary programming with every single trade. And most traders never even realize this battle is happening inside their skull. They think they're making logical decisions based on price action when they're actually just puppets dancing to the tune of primitive brain chemistry. Let's talk about something even more destructive. The gambler's fallacy. You just took 3 losing trades in a row. What does your brain tell you? The next one has to be a winner, right? Wrong. Completely wrong. But your brain doesn't care about statistics. It craves patterns. It demands order in chaos. This pattern-seeking behavior helped your ancestors predict seasons, find food, avoid danger. In the random walk of short-term price movements, it becomes your worst enemy. Each trade is an independent event. The market doesn't know you lost the last 3 trades. It doesn't care. It doesn't owe you a winner. But your brain, desperate for equilibrium, will convince you to take larger position sizes, to force trades that aren't there, to chase setups that don't meet your criteria, all because of a completely fictional pattern that exists only in your imagination. Here's another psychological trap that destroys scalpers: recency bias. Your last trade becomes your entire worldview. You just made $300 on a long trade. Suddenly every setup looks like a long opportunity. Your brain literally filters out short setups because your recent experience has created a cognitive shortcut. This is your brain trying to be efficient. Why waste energy analyzing all possibilities when this one thing just worked? But the market doesn't care about your last trade. Market conditions change every single minute. The setup that worked 5 minutes ago might be completely invalid now. Yet you keep forcing the same direction, the same approach, because your brain is hardwired to repeat recent success. The attention span problem in scalping is absolutely brutal. Research shows the average human can maintain peak concentration for approximately 20 minutes before mental fatigue sets in. But scalpers need to maintain absolute focus for hours. Every single price tick could be relevant. Every volume spike needs analysis. Every order flow change requires interpretation. Your brain simply isn't built for this kind of sustained hypervigilance. What happens after that 20-minute mark? You start missing signals. Your reaction time slows down. You make impulsive decisions because your executive function is exhausted. You might not even notice your performance degrading because the decline is gradual. But check your statistics. Most scalpers have significantly worse worse results in hour 3 compared to hour 1. Not because the market changed, because their brain gave up. Confirmation bias might be the silent killer of more scalping careers than any other psychological phenomenon. You develop a market bias. Maybe you think the market is going up. Now watch what your brain does. It highlights every bullish signal. That green candle, proof you're right. That bounce off support, validation of your genius. Meanwhile, your brain literally suppresses contradictory information. Bearish divergence, your eyes gloss over it. Increasing selling volume, somehow you don't notice. Multiple failed attempts to break resistance must be accumulation before the big move up. Your brain isn't trying to sabotage you. It's trying to protect your ego. Being wrong creates psychological discomfort called cognitive dissonance. Your brain will distort reality itself rather than admit you're wrong. And in scalping, where you need to be completely objective about what's actually happening right now, this reality distortion field is absolutely deadly. The anchoring effect destroys scalpers every single day. You buy at $100. The price immediately drops to $99. Now $99 becomes your new psychological anchor. You can't exit because you're down. The price rallies back to $100. You can't exit because you're only break even. The price pushes to $101. Now you can exit with profit. Do you see the insanity here? You just held through a complete round trip based on completely arbitrary anchoring to your entry price. The market doesn't know where you entered. Your entry price is absolutely meaningless to price action, yet your brain treats it like it's the center of the universe. Professional scalpers exit based on what the market is doing right now, not based on some random historical point where they happen to click their mouse. Let's discuss overconfidence bias, because this one is particularly nasty. You have a winning streak, 5 trades, all winners. You feel invincible. This isn't arrogance. This is biochemistry. Winning releases testosterone. Higher testosterone levels are directly correlated with increased risk-taking and decreased threat perception. Your brain chemistry is literally altering your risk assessment. Studies of professional traders show that after winning streaks, position sizes increase an average of 37% and stop losses widen by an average of 23%. Not because the setups are better, because biochemistry is overriding logic. Then you hit the inevitable loser, but now it's 3 times bigger than it should be, and one loss wipes out your last 5 wins. Your brain betrayed you by rewarding you for success. The paradox of choice is absolutely crippling for modern scalpers. You have access to dozens of markets, hundreds of indicators, thousands of strategies. Your brain cannot process this level of choice. Psychologists have proven that beyond 7 options, decision quality dramatically decreases and decision paralysis increases. But you're trying to monitor 10 charts with 15 indicators across 5 different time frames, while also watching order flow, level 2, volume profile, and market internals. Your conscious mind can hold approximately 7 pieces of information simultaneously. Everything beyond that gets dumped into short-term memory where it rapidly degrades. So you're making life or death trading decisions with incomplete, degraded information while your brain frantically juggles data it cannot actually process. No wonder you freeze at critical moments. Social proof bias is absolutely devastating in our connected trading world. You see another trader posting wins on social media. Your brain immediately assumes their approach is superior. This is tribal survival instinct. For thousands of years, copying successful tribe members was excellent strategy. If Grok killed a mammoth using a particular technique, you should probably copy Grok. But that trader posting wins might be one lucky day in 6 months of losses. You have no idea about their actual statistics, their risk management, their account size, their experience level, yet your brain sees success and demands imitation. You abandon your own tested methodology to chase someone else's highlight reel. Your strategy might have been profitable. You'll never know because you didn't give it enough time. Because social proof hijacked your logical assessment. The endowment effect creates bizarre behavior in scalpers. You enter a position, and immediately that position becomes yours. Research shows that people value things they own approximately 50% more than identical things they don't own. You wouldn't buy this stock at the current price, but you won't sell it either because it's your position. You've endowed it with special value simply by owning it. This is completely irrational, but your brain doesn't care. The pain of giving up something you possess is psychologically more intense than the pleasure of acquiring something new. So you hold positions you wouldn't enter, waiting for them to get back to some imaginary fair value that exists only in your mind. Mental accounting is another cognitive error that demolishes trading careers. You separate money into different mental buckets. The money you made yesterday feels different than the money you deposited last week. So you take reckless risks with house money that you'd never take with your money. But it's all your money. Every single dollar in that account is real money with real purchasing power. Your brain creates these artificial categories to reduce the psychological pain of losses. If you lose house money, it doesn't feel as bad as losing your deposit, but your account doesn't care about your mental accounting. $1,000 loss is $1,000 loss regardless of which imaginary bucket it came from. The sunk cost fallacy might be costing you more than any other psychological bias. You spent 6 months learning a particular strategy. It doesn't work, but you can't abandon it because you've invested so much time. You bought an expensive indicator. It's useless, but you keep using it because you paid for it. You've taken 15 losing trades following your plan today. You should stop. But you've already lost so much time and money, you might as well keep going. This is insane logic, but your brain does this constantly. Sunk costs are gone. They're irrelevant to future decisions. The only question that matters is what gives you the best chance of success moving forward. But your brain hates abandoning investments, even when those investments are actively destroying your account. Dunning-Kruger effect is why most new scalpers have their biggest losses in month 2 or 3. Month 1, you're cautious, you're learning, you follow rules because you know you're a beginner. Then you have some success, you read some books, watch some videos. Suddenly you think you understand the market. This is peak incompetence masquerading as confidence. You don't know enough to recognize how much you don't know. Your brain has pattern matched a few scenarios and extrapolated that limited experience into false expertise. You start breaking rules, taking bigger risks, trusting your gut. Then the market delivers a brutal education. The only cure for Dunning-Kruger is painful experience. You have to lose enough money that your false confidence shatters and you become humble enough to actually learn. Availability heuristic makes you overweight recent dramatic events. The market just had a flash crash. Now you see potential flash crashes everywhere. You give this extremely rare event massive weight in your decision making because it's vivid and recent and emotionally charged. Your brain uses availability as a proxy for probability. If you can easily recall examples of something, your brain assumes it's common. This is why people fear shark attacks more than vending machine accidents, even though vending machines kill more people. You just had a massive winner on a breakout trade. Breakouts become your entire strategy, even though they might represent 2% of actual opportunities. Your brain is terrible at statistical thinking, but excellent at emotional memory. And emotional memory is running your trading decisions. The illusion of control is particularly destructive for scalpers. You believe your actions influence random outcomes. You click your mouse in a particular way. You sit in a certain chair. You wear lucky socks. You took 3 winners while doing these things, so your brain creates a causal connection. This is pure superstition, but it feels real. Even sophisticated traders fall into this trap. You believe your superior chart reading is predicting the market when you're actually just getting lucky. You cannot control the market. You cannot predict the next tick with any certainty. Your edge comes from probability over large sample sizes, not from controlling individual outcomes. But your brain desperately wants to believe you're in control because randomness and uncertainty create anxiety. Hindsight bias makes you think you're better than you are. After a market move, it seems obvious. You tell yourself you should have known, could have known, would have known if only you'd paid closer attention. But in real time, with uncertainty and conflicting signals, it wasn't obvious at all. Your brain rewrites history to make past events seem predictable. This creates false confidence in your predictive abilities. It also creates harsh self-judgment. You beat yourself up for missing obvious moves that were only obvious in retrospect. This backward-looking certainty about uncertain events distorts your learning process and inflates your estimation of your abilities. The clustering illusion makes you see patterns and randomness. The market ticks up, up, down, down. Your brain immediately identifies a pattern. You create rules. You build strategies, but it was just random noise. Humans are so desperate to find patterns that we create them even in completely random data. Show someone a sequence of random coin flips and they'll find trends, cycles, and systems. The market does have some patterns, but short-term price action in scalping timeframes is dominated by noise. Your brain cannot distinguish between meaningful patterns and random clusters, so you trade imaginary patterns with real money. Emotional contagion in trading rooms and chat rooms is completely overlooked. Emotions are contagious. You watch another trader panic, and your brain's mirror neurons activate. Their anxiety becomes your anxiety. You weren't concerned about your position until you felt their fear. Now you're exiting a perfectly good trade because you caught someone else's emotional state like a virus. This happens on social media, in trading rooms, even just watching price action. When the market moves violently, you can feel the fear or greed of thousands of participants. Your brain picks up on these emotional signals and they influence your decision-making even when your logical analysis says otherwise. The focusing illusion makes whatever you're paying attention to seem disproportionately important. You're watching one specific level. That level becomes everything. You ignore context, time frame, volume, everything else, because your focal point dominates your perception. Your brain cannot effectively process what it's not directly focused on. So if you're staring at a 5-minute chart, your hour chart analysis becomes theoretical background noise. If you're fixated on that support level, you miss the bearish divergence forming. Scalping requires constant zoom in and zoom out, but your brain's spotlight of attention can only illuminate one thing at a time. Negativity bias is why losses hurt so much more than wins feel good. Your brain is wired to prioritize negative information, because in evolutionary terms, missing a positive opportunity was annoying, but missing a threat was fatal. You can take 9 winning trades and 1 loser, and all you think about is the loser. This creates a distorted perception of your performance. You might be consistently profitable, but you feel like you're constantly losing because losses dominate your emotional experience and memory. This negativity bias also makes you gun-shy. One bad experience with a particular setup, and your brain flags that setup is dangerous forever. Present bias makes you prioritize immediate feelings over long-term results. You know you should follow your plan. You know discipline creates long-term success. But right now, in this moment, taking this trade feels good. Exiting this loser feels bad. Your brain massively overweights present emotional state compared to future consequences. This is why people eat unhealthy food, skip exercise, and break trading rules. The present feeling overwhelms logical understanding of future outcomes. You're not lazy or undisciplined. You're human. Your brain is designed to prioritize now over later. Every single trade is a battle between present impulse and future consequence. The final psychological destroyer of scalpers is decision fatigue. Every decision depletes your mental resources. Entry or no entry? What size? Where's the stop? Should I move it? Should I add? Should I exit? Take profit or let it run? After hundreds of micro decisions, your brain is exhausted. Studies show that judges are more likely to grant parole early in the day compared to late afternoon when decision fatigue has set in. They literally make worse decisions when tired. You're making financial decisions with real consequences while your decision-making capacity degrades throughout the session. By the end of your trading day, you're making critical choices with a worn-out brain that wants to take shortcuts, avoid effort, and just be done. Understanding these psychological pitfalls doesn't make them disappear. Knowledge isn't enough. Your ancient brain will continue fighting your rational mind with every trade, but awareness is the first step. When you feel that urge to grab a small profit, you can recognize it as dopamine and evolutionary program.